I think my camera might be a little bit slanted. I'm trying here. I decided to recreate my 4th of July look since it is Labor Day. This is Labor Day weekend. And so I took lots of pictures because I did 3 different ways that you can do a red, white, and blue look. This is a blanket I crocheted. It's a geometric blanket, so it's like a circle, but it's got wiggly lines. So I just finished doing all my makeup. Hey everyone, so I'm having a hard time getting it together with this new setup because the camera won't go straight anymore. It goes off to the side and I have the light over there. Just as I was about to start my video, my husband walks in for lunch and I really didn't want to talk in front of him. You know, I guess I could spend time with him or whatever. And now I have to redo my lipstick and I got glitter in my eyes. And it looks like my eye is like some of the makeup or the mascara and eyeshadow transferred to my lower, you know, down to oh, I'm trying here guys. Anyway, so I'm going to edit the pictures and upload this video to my Cookie Dulce channel, but this video will be here and I'll put the link. So yeah, I have in the backdrop I have the I crocheted a geometric like star type of thing. It's like zigzaggy, but it's in a circle, and I have the red, white, and blue, so it matches perfectly. Next time you'll see my rainbow backdrop. So yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, tell you so much has happened since I did a last, you know, since I did my last makeup video, the wedding or bridal day video. We were harassed. It was horrible. You just couldn't imagine what we were going through, the horrible pressure, the stress, the harassment. You know, my husband, when they told him, first of all, he tried, I think I told you, he tried to claim his overtime, and that's when they told him, look, we're letting you go anyway at the end of the month, so you might as well just take the days off and go look for another job. They said some unprofessional stuff too. And so my husband, you know, they told him to take vacation too, so they wouldn't have to pay him, you know, the extra vacation. So he did that. And the other worker that didn't know what he was doing and that he was constantly doing the work for him, I feel like it's his fault because my husband tells him what to do, he doesn't do it. My husband teaches him over and over again, he doesn't do it. He doesn't want to do what he's supposed to do either. I think he's just lazy. But they told my husband this, and he's calling my husband up constantly saying that he wants to borrow my husband's tools, that he wants my husband's help. And I told my husband, don't you dare. And my husband said, they said they didn't want me and they don't need me and they want to do this without me. I'm gone. That's it. You're on your own. For what was that? This guy started acting like a spoiled child brat, got mad, starts harassing my husband through texts. Calling, texting. And my husband just said, you know, look, if you want to call me up and say, how you doing? I'm so sorry that you lost your, you know, your job because of me. He didn't tell him like that. You know, but don't call me here asking me how to do the work. Because they said, you know, they let me go because they feel I'm not doing the right job. And they feel you are, so do your thing, you know? And I'm paraphrasing it. And so this guy goes to the office. And oh my goodness, did it start. Now, where does the supervisor of the office come off calling my husband and said, you need to come in, I want to talk to you. Officially, he wasn't being let go till the end of the month, but, you know, I want to talk to you, you know, because why you didn't lend him your tools. What? So he said, look, before I left, I ordered these tools for you. It's not my fault if they didn't arrive yet, but I'm not letting him have my tools. Oh my goodness. Then started the emails and the texting. Are you sure that that those tools didn't come in? So in other words, that they accused him of stealing. Indirectly. And this went on and on. Oh, well, I called them up and they said they delivered it. No, they didn't. Then they said, oh, well, we found that, you know, they showed us a signature that somebody signed for it, but I can't see the signature. You could compare it to his signature. So he told him that, you have my signature on many things. You can compare it and, you know, and that'll show you it wasn't me. But they said they delivered it. How many times, my husband said, have they said they delivered something and they didn't? Or they may have delivered it to the wrong property, or they signed it themselves. And I know that for a fact that companies do that. So they finally left him alone with that. And then they called him in and said, well, turn in all your keys, turn in all your ID. Okay, because he was still, I guess so he wouldn't be able to take anything, because again, they were thinking that he was stealing. And so he goes, he gives them that. Then she had the audacity, and this is, I'm telling, this is like pretty much right after I did my last video. Then they said to him, we want you to give us back the award that you got for being the best worker. And that was the unprofessional thing that the regional manager said, that she was tricked into giving him that award. You know, where does she come off? She's not there watching him work his butt off day and night and weekends. She's not there. So I was mad. I'm like, you shouldn't give it back. But he said that they said it's a floating award, and it didn't have his name on it. It said quarterly. Quarterly? It's been a year and they never asked him for that to give to somebody else. And they said they're going to need it to give to somebody else now. It said it was a quarterly award for the hardest worker. It was like a big trophy too. I personally wouldn't have given it back, but since it didn't have his name on it and he didn't want to make waves, he said fine. He gave it back. Then, so now my husband's going on interview after interview after interview. They want to pay very low, and they don't want to give a free apartment. And a lot of these properties were pure garbage. I mean garbage. Some of them were pretty far, and it wasn't just the fact that I helped out my brother, but bringing my kids to the doctor would have been horrible traffic-wise. This was like up north, and coming up north down here through downtown is awful, you know, to get to his doctors. And it's like, oh my goodness. And there was one job that had perfect pay. We think it was up north, and I would have, for the pay, if they would have paid us the right money, given us the right, you know, incentive, then I would have done it. I mean, we were desperate. But at the same time, we have faith in God that God's going to have the right thing for us, because you can't take a job if you can't pay your bills. So it was like really low, like, you know, cutting his, you know, $10 less an hour or more than what he was getting. So it was very frustrating. And so finally there was, and one guy even asked him to come. It was right, it was perfect for what we wanted, because it was right like a block away from my brother, or I should say an avenue away from my brother. And after my husband drove down there for half an hour, and he left them waiting for 2 hours, and then they told him, oh, he left. Very unprofessional. And so, I mean, everybody wanted him, just that they didn't want to pay, or, you know, give the apartment, because, you know, it used to be free apartments, then it was like, oh, a free one bedroom, you pay the difference, and now they just don't want to give you any apartment at all, or any type of discount, and they want to give you $10 less an hour. That's insane. So it's like basically what you're working for is to pay the rent and nothing else. And I can't work. I can't work, not with all my health problems, all my back problems. And so, you know, he kept getting called from one particular company, and it was in an area that I love. It was closer to my son's doctor. by the HEB Plus that I love to go to, and so they were in talks about that, and we got a notice to vacate like a week before the end of the month, and we were like crazy trying to get a job and find a place to live, and it started out by saying thank you for giving us your notice to vacate. Anyway, I'm like, we never said no. We never gave a notice to vacate. What the heck are they talking about? So, my husband called up customer relations and told him how he's been working day and night, how he informed them that he was working day and night but didn't claim it because he was afraid of getting fired, because the previous office supervisor had said that she would get fired, and so he was said, well, if she's going to get fired, so am I. So even though they have a new office supervisor, they still tried to tell him, if you did overtime, you have to take it off, which he couldn't do because he was doing the work of 3 men. And so he told her, and she started investigating, and she says, well, look, just tell me all the overtime that we owe you, and as long as it's not like 100 hours, I'll make sure you get paid. So the only way my husband could actually prove that is by being able to get back into the office and going through the sign sheet. And since they took the keys, he couldn't do that, but he was able to get his hands on some copies of it, so there's proof at least that it exists. And he went just from January to the end of June, he did over 100 hours of overtime. And so of course the lady like, what? So in the meantime, we started getting these flyers about buying your own home and no money down, and it costs less than what you pay for rent. And it was true. We were looking into apartments. They were like $2,000, and we thought they would only charge that downtown. But if you're close to a highway that takes you downtown, they're going to charge you that price even if they're not close to downtown. And I was like, the heck with this. For half of that, we could own our own home. And I mean, Texas is not the place I dreamed of living. It's very humid here. There's not a lot of, green grass and trees. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's not like living out in the country, especially if you live near the city. But, rather than pay all that money in rent, I figure it's better to own. So, I wanted to be out by the 31st. And we go to this place after we had received that, that notice to vacate. And so we went, and I mean, it's not what you would call your dream home. I found them a little small, and it was basically like they buy a big land and build a lot of houses right next to each other, and you buy it for an inexpensive price. They cut out the middleman, so and so you're basically doing it straight through them, and they guarantee everything for up to a year. Anything after that, you're on your own. And so we were like, okay. But when they start adding everything up of what you have to pay, because I realized you have to pay taxes and insurance, but they were saying that the cheapest one they had wasn't available, so they wanted us to pay like $1,500 a month. And I'm like, really? That's not what we're going to be able to afford, and so then after they said no money down, builder's costs paid, all of that's paid, they were asking you to put money to hold the house because it wouldn't be available to like 2 months out. And they said immediate move-in. I'm like, you said immediate move-in, that's not immediate, Oh, but you have to go to we have to go to the bank and make sure you're eligible and blah blah blah. Yeah, but do we get that money back? Oh yeah, if after we've gone through all this and they say you still don't qualify, which they said from judging on the income and blah blah blah, that we can afford that much. And I'm like, I'm not putting down no money, especially since they said the house wouldn't be available that we wanted, and that the one we looked at is actually going to get sold to somebody else. No. No, and then I have to wait till October to move in, and I want to be out in a week. And they said immediate move in. I was packed, as you saw in my video, as I stated in my video. And one guy wouldn't even show us an apartment until we came up with $1,000 to put down on it. And I'm like, what if we don't want one of the houses you show us? I was so mad because this would have been close enough to the job, close enough to my brother, like 15 minutes away from the job, 15 minutes away from my brother. It would have been like perfect. Except that the scenery wasn't really all that. It's like it was storage facility. when you drive out of the storage facility, it's behind the storage facility. When you drive out of there, it's the highway, and there's really not much in way of stores. They're starting to build it up now, so we were so disappointed, and I'm like ready to have a nervous breakdown. And I was watching Tyler Perry, and I told you I was getting back into the Bible, and like every day I was reading an encouraging word from the Bible from God, and I really felt God was going to see us through this, and we're going to be okay. Especially that promise that says that you will never see your children forsaken nor begging for bread, because all I could see is all our stuff out in the street. I already have 2 children that are, already have mental disabilities. This would have sent them over the edge. And so I was, reading those encouraging things from God, getting back into praise and worship. And I was watching Tyler Perry, and the lady said, he may not come when you want him to, but he comes right on time. And this was on the 30th, and we were supposed to do groceries, and I was depressed because I said, oh, I'm doing my new groceries in my new apartment, and I wasn't. And I read the notice to vacate, and it didn't say we had to be out by the 31st. It said we had to be out by the 9th, and that we had to pay, a certain amount for that. I think they prorated it. So I was like, okay, then. So that means we got 9 more days. And then the harassment started again. So we looked at those houses over the weekend, or tried to look at some houses over the weekend, and that didn't work out. And my husband's still in negotiation with this one company in the neighborhood I really liked. And I start getting the emails. You didn't pay your rent. All my rent was paid, but you didn't pay your rent from the 9th, for the 1st of the 9th. I said, it's only the 3rd. On the 9th, I'll pay you. It's prorated. I said, so what if I move tomorrow? I'm not going to pay you all that money for just being here for 2-3 days. Oh, you have to ask for permission. You got to pay that in full, whether you leave now or whether you leave on the 9th. I'm like, yeah, okay. So in speaking, my husband was back and forth speaking with the employee relations, and she said that on the 9th we pay that money if we stay until that day, So even she agreed that I wouldn't have to pay more. And this was all the office supervisor, who just was acting like an immature child who I don't know, in her brain, and she never outrightly said he stole, and never, but I guess she was angry that my husband didn't lend them his tools, and so she had it in for him. And then she started, well, you got a late fee of $50, and you have to pay me $10 a day until it's all paid up. So right now you owe like $400, twice as much as what they said that we would have to pay if we stay till the 9th. And I'm like, so she agreed that no, if we stay until the 9th, the employee relations, that's when we pay the money. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. So I wrote them back. I wanted to chew them up and spit them out. You do not know. I wanted to go into that office and have a nice little chat. And but I was reading how another scripture that said, be still and know that I am God. Be calm and know that I fight for you. So I was like, I don't have to say anything. So when the regional manager said that, I just quoted it back to them. Well, not the regional manager. The regional manager, she was very unprofessional. The employee relations lady said that they left me alone. So the lady who's in charge of checking out the apartment came to me, and my husband said, look, this isn't me. You know, the office supervisor is telling me to do this. It's not me. I agree that it's ridiculous what she's trying to do to you. I'm just, you know, I just had to send you those emails because, you know, it's my job to do that, and, you know, I had to do what I had to do. But don't worry, when you leave, I won't charge you anything. And I said, well, you know, I know the rug's gonna be a mess. And she's like, oh, okay, then I'll only charge you for the rug. And I said, well, make sure it's prorated and make sure I don't get charged for the pad. I said, you already have our down payment, whatever, you know, the security deposit, and if there's anything more, well, that money that they took from us, you know, because what they did was they didn't ask. They just said, we're doing 401k. If you don't want it, you have to let us know. But if you don't let us know, we're just doing this. They can't do that. I know that by law they can't do that. So, so I said, and the money that in the 401k, well, you know, we stopped it, but it took like a month. So we have a little bit of money in that. And I was like, we'll give you, you know, that and whatnot. So, you know, she was very nice. And so, you know, you saw the video where I was at. I was just waiting and waiting. It was already the 7th, and you know, they told my husband they want him. It finally came to the point where they wanted him, and you know, we went to go look at an apartment. And I remember my husband saying, I don't think we're gonna get out of here on time. They gave us to the night. Well, you know, what if we do have to stay till the end of the month, and you know, and all this stuff. And I'm like, I said, look, they said they wanted you. You know, they said they wanted you. They sent him the offer letter. So, you know, and they said, you know, as soon as you get that offer letter, you can go to the apartments and check out and see, you know, something that's available. You know, they told him which one was the cheapest, and that that's for him to take one of those. And at first they showed us one that was a little bit more expensive. They called it the upgrade. And the thing that scared me out of my mind was that particular, the upgrade apartments, I don't know what, I think it's, who knows, someone's not clean, or something, somehow they took some, because people, you know how people take furniture out of the garbage, which they shouldn't because of bad bugs. But, you know, I don't know if roaches went in that way, but they had an infestation in that building. And even though it was upgraded, and believe me, the appliances were so nice, I didn't want to be there. And they said, well, we have one more available. It is the cheapest one, so it's not going to be as nice. And we don't think they finished fixing it up. And someone said, oh, no, it's fixed up. The person that was supposed to rent that apartment did not pass the credit check. So you could have, you know, but the truth is the apartment really wasn't finished, or at least not satisfactorily done. But so she's like, okay. So she reluctantly showed us the apartment, and I liked it 10 times better than the other apartment. The apartment, you can see bugs in the rug. You can see bugs still in the rug. It wasn't roaches, but like all different other kinds of bugs. I'm like, I don't want to come here. So when we saw it was smaller, and as you saw, it was nicer. We did notice that it wasn't properly cleaned, that it had a lot of like defects. And my husband's like, oh my goodness, like he's like, oh my, you know, I guess he agreed that maybe it shouldn't have been shown, but you know, we were, you know, we were desperate at this point. But not I shouldn't say the word desperate, because I have faith in God that he was going to take care of us one way or another. That if he pushed my husband out, as hard as my husband worked for that company, as he was so, I mean, he would do no wrong for the company. He gave his heart and soul, the sweat off his back to that company. And for them to indirectly accuse him of stealing, I was, and then harassing him and then harassing us, that was wrong, man. That was wrong on their part. So, you know, it wasn't really desperate, but I really fell in love with the view. I just fell in love with the apartment despite the defects. And so they were like, okay, you know, if you want it. I think that they should have had them finish, you know, fix whatever wasn't ready, but I guess they always do that to us. They expect my husband to do it, and my husband works so hard that he doesn't, but he's been little by little fixing stuff up in the apartment. But so, you know, we were just, you know, waiting for the credit checks, waiting for the drug test, as I said in the video, and there were parts of that video that I didn't show you because the camera was like upside down and all around. But you know, it explained that when they told him that he could start on Monday, he could move in on Friday, and you saw I was just praising God, and God was just so good to us that, you know, he kept his promise that he was going to take care of us. And so, you know, here we are. And they finally said that they didn't want to pay him all that overtime. So we, you know, hey, then let the labor department step in. You know, so let's see what happens with that. But, you know, the only negative side of this is that they were willing to hire him, but as a salary worker. And I know my husband, he'll stay late, and it is like without the overtime, and because it was less than what he was making before, it comes up to a total of $10,000 less a year between overtime and the pay cut. It's not a big pay cut, but you'd be surprised how much $1 an hour taken away, or $2 an hour taken away, makes a difference between that and the overtime. It's a $10,000 a year pay cut, and the rent is $400 more. So at least the building I'm in is not roach infested. You saw my apartment, you saw the view. I'm just so happy about that. And so, you know, thank God, here we are. You know, they really needed him. He really needed them. They were just as desperate as we were to find someone to fit the, you know, the description that they needed. And, you know, so, you know, my husband didn't want him to know that it was that they let him go, because then he felt they would take advantage of him. But then when he came here, he found out that everything that they told him wasn't that way either. Like that he would have 9 helpers under him, and he only's got like half that. Problems arose with the other 4, so he only has half that. So, you know, I think that it was a lesson learned for my husband, that no job is worth your blood, sweat, and tears at the expense of your family, because we couldn't do anything. We couldn't make any plans. We couldn't go anywhere. Stephanie's birthday was spoiled because of that guy. He didn't want to do his emergency call, and my husband had to get stuck with it. And so, you know, he learned that, you know, it was a lesson learned. And, you know, they finally said that we owe them for the rug, and I'm questioning it. I think it's a little high. My husband says it sounds about right, but it is a little bit more than they should be charging us. And what they're asking us, the security deposit only is going to cover half, but with the money he gets back, it should pay another nice sized portion of it, and the rest, you know, we're just gonna see about that, because they still owe my husband overtime. So let's see what happens with all of that. But for now, I just want to say again that God is good. He's faithful, and, you know, he loves me enough not to let me be hungry or, you know, homeless, you know. So we're very happy now, even though this, you know, it's not perfect. There's not perfection here, but it's peaceful, except for one neighbor that kind of like lied about us and tried to rat us out, because she's in a bunch of violations, and she's, well, what about that? And I was like, we just moved here already. But for the most part, you know, our neighbors are pretty, I mean, pretty quiet. It's pretty okay. And, you know, nothing's perfect, but we're happy. We're happy. We feel more peaceful here. I never really felt peaceful in that other place, but we feel peaceful here. The staff is so much more friendlier. I felt like the staff over there was kind of like, you know, nose up in the air looking down at me or something, or, you know. But here I feel cool. You know, I feel it's really cool here, and you know, I just see a difference, and we're happy. It's much more peaceful here. And my setup, my living room space is awesome. Everything else is smaller, but my living room space is awesome. So, and that view out there, I just can't stop talking about that peaceful, gorgeous view. I hope they never sell that piece of land right there and build on it. All right, so this video is like, I think 45 minutes long. So I will upload a re-edited video of my older videos, and so hopefully all of this will be up. Okay, I love you all. Oh, this theme is good for Labor Day, so I love you all. Mwah. Bye. Have a safe Labor Day. Bye.